Hey, thank you for coming by. I'm Matthew Barlow, and today I'm going to be trying something for the first time. I'm going to be doing some bear meat. I've never had it in my life. A friend gave it to me for my birthday a couple months ago, and so tonight I thought I'd get a fire going and make some ranch-style chili with the bear meat that I've got. And that's what we're going to do tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully everything's going to turn out pretty good. So stick around. Let's get it started. Alright, the first thing we want to do is make the flavor base for our chili. And here I've just got a few dried chilies and about a cup and a half of beef broth and beer, so it's about equal parts of both. And we boiled that over the stovetop. And now, after I've removed the stems from these peppers, just going to tear them up and put them in there, in with the broth mixture. What we're going to do is let this soak for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we're going to, we've got a little hand blender, then we're going to come back and just blend this all together, and we're going to add that to the chili later on. Alright, now it's time to start a fire. We need to get a good fire going that's going to last a couple hours. We have a lot of stuff to sear and to cook over direct heat for a while, and then we mix everything together and let that cook in direct. So let me show you how I get it going. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start going around the yard and looking for just some small sticks. Just use as kindling to get the fire going with. And then once that's going, we'll add these bigger logs later on. Alright, so I've got a good little pile here. You want to look for sticks, different sizes, different thicknesses. Just get a nice range. And you can always add some more if you need it, but I think this is good to start with. So I'm going to start with one of these little lighting cubes. They're made by Weber, but you can use these or a good fire starter, like a starter log or something like that. You can even use some newspaper. It's a lot easier with these, I tell you that. So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to put it in here and I'll show you how I'll build a fire around this cube. Okay, so here's the cube, and I'm just going to start building around it, kind of a teepee style. You leave yourself some room so you can light it later, so you can get to the cube. Let's try to get some heavier stuff here. Just keep building. Keep layering. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and light the cube now. want to be careful not to get it too dense either. Fire is all about oxygen and the free flow of oxygen, so just keep that in mind. Whether you're building a campfire or you're just getting some charcoal going on your grill, using an offset smoker, starting a fire in your wood stove. See there, I cut off that oxygen there just a little bit. So I'm going to let this go and slowly add some bigger chunks of wood. I'm going to take a couple of these larger pieces and place them just on the outside, just like that. Just kind of building a log cabin with the teepee in the middle. And again, what I'm watching out for is just my flow of oxygen. Edges burn a lot easier than if you lay it flat over top the fire. That'll smother it. Edges. See? Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you have to lay it flat. You know, but so I'm just going to let this keep going. Nice and hot. There we go. Okay, I'd say this fire is ready to go, so I've got a grate right here. And whew, that's hot. Time to start cooking. Before we start cooking, I want to go over everything you're going to need for tonight's cook. So let's just start off with what we've got here. We've got some smashed whole garlic cloves, chopped onion, tomatoes, black pepper, steak seasoning, ground cumin, chili powder, some bacon, or in my case I'm using some pork belly. There is our flavoring base that we made earlier with the beef broth, the beer, and the dried chilies. Bear meat, some masa, which is some finely ground corn flour, and some coconut palm sugar for a little sweetness, and some butter just in case we need to grease things up just a little bit more. Alright, so with all that being said, I'll show you how all this comes together in the various steps. But I believe we're going to start by cooking the pork belly first. Okay, to start with, you want to get a Dutch oven or a pot from the kitchen that you just don't care about, and you put that right over the direct heat. And we're going to start with the pork belly. So I got a little black pepper on the pork belly to season it. Just going to dump that in there. Okay, while we are waiting for the pork belly to cook up on the fire, we're just going to season the bear meat. And this is when we're going to use our steak seasoning. You can use whatever you want. You can just use some salt and pepper. Anything else that you want. We're just going to coat that really nice with the steak seasoning. Yeah. I've got my lovely wife Martha assisting me with tonight's cook because I'm going to need it. See how that's browning? I'm just going to let that continue to cook till it's all nice and uniformly brown. It's crisped up a little bit. Okay, we pulled off the pork belly. We're going to pour the grease back in. I'm going to save some of it to sear the bear meat with next. That's a hot fire. There we go. We're going to throw the bear meat in. So the bear meat is nice and browned. We're adding just a little bit more of the pork belly fat. And now we're going to add in the chopped onions. And we're going to let those cook for a few minutes before we add the garlic. So it's been a few minutes and now we're going to add the garlic. Now we're going to add our tomatoes. Before we add anything else, we want to let those tomatoes get some sear on them. They want to kind of burst, and at that point then we're going to start adding the spices. So now I'm going to add in the spices and let that cook real quick. The tomatoes have already started to burst, so we're good with that. Now we're going to add that masa, which is the finely ground corn flour. Okay, now we're going to deglaze the pan with some wine, just a cheap cooking wine. You could even use some beer if you've got that. Alright, so we got everything mixed in and we put a lid on here. And now we're just going to let that cook over low heat, medium heat for an hour until it's all done. And you want to check it periodically, you want to stir it around. And next up we're going to do some potatoes and some jalapenos, and we're going to do those over the fire as well. So let's start that. Alright, the chili's been cooking on the fire for about an hour, and we've got some potatoes and some jalapenos we've cut up, and we're going to get those ready to go on the fire as well. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of steak seasoning. And of course you want to add a little bit of oil to that mixture just so it'll cook up nice. And then once we get that in there, we're going to wrap it up in this tin foil. So we got some steak seasoning. I'm going to spray a little bit extra oil on there to keep everything nice and lubed up. Now this is what they call a hobo pouch. You're going to wrap it up in a pouch of tin foil and put it in the fire, just like the days of yore when people used to ride trains and live a life of freedom. Alright, get that all wrapped up nice and tight. Alright, and just put it on the fire. And you're going to let that cook for about 30-40 minutes. And we'll show you how you know when it's done. You just give it a little test with a meat thermometer or something like that. But you'll see that in just a little bit. And while we're here, we might as well let's take a quick peek at this. Oh, that smells so good. Alright, it's almost 8 o'clock and this has been going for about 2 hours. I'm going to give it a try. I think it's done. In fact, I know it is because I tried it a little earlier. And the potatoes here are done as well. Try a nice hunk here. Here we go. Steaming hot. I've never had bear before, so I'm trying to think of what it tastes like. It's definitely beefy, but also like I don't know if you've ever had venison, deer, but I grew up on the stuff and I know what that tastes like. And this is like that as well. So it's like it has a venison like flavor with like maybe the sweetness of beef to it. It's really good, especially in this chili. It all works really well. So I'm going to go inside and eat this, add a little bit of freshly chopped red onion and some cilantro, some Greek yogurt. Potatoes are done. I'm going to heat up some soft tortillas. It's going to be really good. So thank you so much for hanging out today while we did this. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions about what we did today, leave them in the comments below. And as always, appreciate it if you'd like to subscribe. We got new videos coming every weekend, as best as I can do. So until next time, I'm Matthew Barlow. This is Barlow Barbecue, and I'll see you soon.